Day one of the NFL draft comes to a close. A monster day across the JAKIB Media Network. All of our NFL draft coverage, of course, presented by IBEW Local 98, as promised and talked about all day today. Time to get fan reaction. Best place to get that, Philly's biggest fan, John Dougherty, joining me late into the night on this Thursday night, Doc. But let me come to you first. Your reaction when the pick was made, and then I want to ask you about Dallas being the team to make a rare trade with the Eagles in the first round.
Yeah, Joe, by the way, most people should know that 12 o'clock at night isn't late for you. You're usually outside delivering coats in the cold.
Yeah, yes,
so I
sir.
just want to always bring that up. So whatever time you need us, we're there. But I just want to tell you, I am really excited. I thought that this draft had two people that we wanted to focus in on. One was Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, and two was Smith. I thought he was by far an easy Heisman winner. I watched a lot of SEC football this year. The pandemic kept us locked inside, and they were one of the leagues that played every game and were on TV all the time. He was amazing. Look, this is the best pick we've had in years, and the best part about it is we picked up the extra first. And I've never supported every move Howie Roseman makes. I joke with you all the time. He's the only guy in America that doesn't need a union. He's got job security no matter what he does. Okay, but he had a good first round. He picked up an extra pick. He moved the 86th pick. We still have we have the 37th, the 70th, and the 123rd. So in the top 123 players, we should get 4 players, and I'm hoping that 3 starters.
Let me ask you, Doc, about this, because when going into this draft, when they made the decision to move on from Carson Wentz, and they decided that Jalen Hurts was going to be the starter, this team was short on weapons. So weapons were one of those priorities coming into the draft. Do you think the fan base is happy with DeVonta Smith?
Oh, I think they'll love DeVonta Smith. I think that if you've been on Twitter, you've been on any social media tonight, the place thinks they hit a home run here. And again, it's I'm fine. I know we're going to touch probably on it a little bit. I'm shocked that Dallas wants to give us a stud receiver in the division for the next 10 years, and that's what we got. We got the Heisman Trophy award winner. This kid is amazing. He's 170 pounds. I don't care. It's 170. They say, oh, he can't take a hit. I watched a lot of Saturday football. He don't get hit much either. And he's got great hands. Okay, the sideline. Fast, tough hands, feet. He's the complete package. And I don't fall over athletes. I just think that this was a great pick for us.
Yeah, no, to your point, Ray Didinger, who joined the middle here on the JAKIB Media Network earlier today, talked about DeVonta Smith, and one of the elements about his game that he referenced was his ability to catch the ball, not only to get open or not only to spread the defense or take the lid off the defense, but he can catch. And that, I think, makes him perhaps a bona fide winner for certainly as being reunited with Jalen Hurts, and certainly it gives Jalen now a weapon.
Yeah, listen, for a moment there, I'm saying they really might not go after Fields. And then when it took a little bit of time, I thought they might be considering trading back down a little bit, grabbing a couple more picks, maybe picking up the kid Newsome from Northwestern. I thought he was a big-time player. But then when, they went, there was only one choice. It was to get Smith, and they got Smith. I think he's that weapon they need. If you take a look at that offense now, okay, they're solid at the running back with our Penn State kid. They got, I'm a big Goddard fan. I think he's going to do well. They'll probably get rid of Ertz tomorrow, but I wouldn't give him away. I'd still keep him in the mix. And then the big, question mark will be if Rager turns into a first-round pick or not. And look, I was a fan of Fulgham. I don't know what happened to him down the stretch the last couple of games, but make no bones about it. The number one receiver on this team is the draft pick today. DeVonta Smith is the number one receiver on this team for the next decade, and he's going to be an All-Pro.
Philly's biggest fan, John Dougherty, joining me for Fan Reaction. Let's talk, Doc, a little bit about that scenario and how we made it to this conversation. There they were watching the draft unfold, and then the Broncos take Surtain. Carolina had taken Horn before, and then that left open Dallas coming in at 10. And we're watching the draft, and I turn to Xander, and I say to Xander, there's absolutely no way, is there, that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are going to make that trade with Howie and give us the opportunity to get DeVonta Smith. And Doc, as soon as I said it, it happened. Boom, the trade was made. Would you ever have imagined that the Dallas Cowboys would make that trade? I know they've traded a couple times with the Birds, but nowhere, not in the first round.
Well, listen, I think it was a good move for them too.
Yes, so do I.
They were going defense. Okay, they had a very good offensive team. They got their quarterback back. They would have loved to have Surtain or Horn. Both were gone. So the next guy obviously was Parsons, who I thought was a big player. And actually, if we traded back down, I was hoping we would zero it in on Parsons. But you just don't draft linebackers at that high. But, he's a special athlete. Of course, I'm very sensitive to Penn State, and I watched him play an awful lot. And I think he's going to be a great player for them. If you go along there, Dallas has a very good linebacking core if they can stay healthy. Besides picking up, Parsons, they got that Van Esch, and they got Jason Smith, the kid from Notre Dame, who's he's injury prone, but he's a big player. So they did what they did. They picked up a third round pick. They traded up. It was a business decision, and I wouldn't have made it. I just think the Heisman Award winner has a chance to be really special. And he played every game too. And he played every play. Look, Waddle. He's fast. He's good. They say he's talented. He went ahead. Pitts is a different animal. He's a freak right down to the point. Everybody says he's a freak. And when you look at him, you can tell that guy's just going to be a monster. Okay. But I think DeVonta Smith is going to be a stud. I think he's going to be if by the second year, he'll be an All-Pro.
Let me ask you this, and I had this I asked Derek Gunn during my conversation with Derek Gunn as part of Draft Takes with Derek Gunn, who will be across the JAKIB Media Network following every round of this year's NFL Draft. Doc, I asked him if the Eagles were the worst team in the NFC East right now. What do you think?
Well, listen, if I think from a personnel perspective, okay, I think that they're weak at linebacker. They're weak at the offensive line, which used to be a strong point. They're very injury prone. You're up in the air on where the quarterback spot is going to be. We're strong at the running back. Tell me a spot where, you think that we're, better by far than anybody in the league. We're average at, we're competitive at running back. We're competitive at tight end. But I don't think there's any other spot where you can say we're better. The Redskins definitely played well, playoff caliber team last year. The Cowboys get, Prescott back. And, of course, he was having a monster year before he got hurt. And I think the Giants, Joe Judge, a little bit of time at the prep. I think that he's done a really good job. And if you take a look at what they've done, okay, I thought Galloway was a great pickup. Some people say in today's modern business environment in the NFL, they overpaid. But that doesn't, affect me or you. Okay, all we know is that we're going to have this 6'5" wide receiver who catches the ball and scores TDs. That's what I like about DeVonta Smith. He scores TDs. He's a player. He scores from every angle. He can run the ball. Now, you don't want him returning kicks, at least I don't. But I think that he's a stud, and I think he's going to be able to score from all over the field.
Last thought from John Dougherty as we get fan reaction tonight from Philly's biggest fan. And of course, we'll hopefully engage John Dougherty throughout the rest of the draft. We'll be here live with 15 additional hours of coverage on Friday, 15 additional hours of coverage on Saturday. And then, of course, on Sunday, we'll have our big draft wrap up, all presented by IBEW Local 98. Doc, last thought from you in terms of Howie Roseman and his ability to work with the new head coach, Nick Sirianni. Is Nick, in your opinion, a puppet for Howie, or will he get the latitude or the leverage to be able to develop and become a good head coach, or maybe even a great head coach? I don't think we know what Nick Sirianni is, but will he get that under Howie, do you think?
I don't know much about him, and I don't think many people knew much about him. I'm usually one of the, and I've had this conversation with you before, I love the drafts. I'm a stone cold homer. I think that the Eagles, the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers are going to win every year. I think every draft they have is fabulous. But I think that Peterson was underrated. I think he had a steady hand. I think he's a little crazy on fourth down and a few other odds and ends. But I don't know much about him. It's obvious that Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman, meet with him, on a regular basis. I think they met with him every Tuesday for like 4 hours. I don't know what the owner and the head coach has to talk about other than, game plan. So I would imagine that you understand they're going to be involved. I don't know if that's ever been a recipe for success. You and I both like Big Red. And,
love Big Red,
And he lets people, he definitely has input, but he lets a general manager and a player personnel guy do the drafting and picking the players. And he coaches, and he said that. So I think there should be a separation. I think that we got to give Howie credit tonight. This is a good pickup, and he picks up a first rounder and only gives up a third rounder, and he gets a guy that 6 months ago probably was the number one guy on their board before Pitts went crazy, and we got off the quarterback hunt. And again, you and I have had this conversation before. One of my issues with Ben Simmons was the guy never scored 20 points a game anywhere. Okay? It's the same thing in sports. If you can put the puck in the net, okay, that's why I want to see the Flyers play the Frost kid. He scores tons of goals.
Yeah, right.
Ben Simmons just never scored. Guys who thought that Ben Simmons was going to come into the NBA and do 30, 20, and 10 were crazy. Okay? But this guy scores touchdowns. Yeah. And he catches passes. Okay? And he catches a lot of them, and he scores a lot of TDs. I expect him to score a lot of TDs. I think that the one thing that we're going to have to do is, I'm not sure how good the deal will be. It'll be a new head coach, a lot of changing player personnel. I said so, but I do think that if you look at the offense and, if Hurts, shows the same flashes that he did at the end of the year last year, you go with the receiving core, and of course, I think that I wouldn't be surprised to see us grab another running back. And if they're going to get one, I would rather them grab somebody, maybe one of the two running backs from North Carolina before, I don't know if they can get them, after that early third round pick. I think, we got to pick them by the 70th pick or we don't get them. But I think maybe a running back would help too. And then that would give us, and then just rebuild the offensive line.
Well, we know this, Doc. We know Howie's probably not done as we go into day 2 of the draft and then Saturday, of course, the draft coverage gets underway at noon. We, of course, across the JAKIB Media Network, will have coverage. I hope you're available as the rest of the draft rolls on. I'd love to continue to get your reaction. Philly's biggest fan checking in with us tonight on the Eagles' #1 pick, wide receiver out of Alabama, DeVonta Smith, the guy that John Dougherty said they should take perhaps 6 months ago. They get him tonight, Doc.
And he's a stud. He's a player.
Yeah, and as you said, he scores touchdowns.
He does.
Yeah, great stuff from Philly's biggest fan. Doc, appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you, Xander. Thank you, Joe. Anytime tomorrow.
All right.
Maybe you catch me before midnight.
Yeah. But if not, you'll be there. Appreciate it, Doc.
Definitely will be there. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thank you. Johnny Doc.